Hel- Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Shad, and today we're here with another breakdown that I have promised you. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I had made an update to the release of this video, so instead of being on the 18th, we pushed it back to the 19th. And if you're here, you're probably a Jared Vanderbilt fan, or a Jazz fan, or just an NBA fan. Regardless, today we're here to talk about one of my favorite players in the league and why he is going to be, I think, the hottest trade commodity come the deadline. This season, Jared Vanderbilt is averaging just above 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists on 58% from the field, 39% from 3, and 67% from the free throw line. You're probably looking at that 39% from 3 and thinking, huh? It's on 1 attempt a game, so he's literally hitting 0.4 threes per game out of 1. So he's not the highest volume three-point shooter, but that is something that we will get into in a little bit. Speaking of things that Jared Vanderbilt is good at, let's talk about his strengths this season and the strengths of his play style. I want to get this point out pretty early because Jared Vanderbilt's a very specific player who I do not think is a plug-and-play player at the moment. There are plenty of teams that I think could make a play for him at the deadline that are not going to be able to use him properly. And I think it's going to ruin their chances. I think it's going to ruin the image of Jared Vanderbilt, and it's going to hurt Vando's development. We have to remember this guy is still so very young. Yeah, he was born in 99. The man is 23 years old. He has a lot of time ahead of him. Number one, off top, he has unlimited energy. He is a great hustle rebounder, and he is overall just an aggressive player on the court. If you're looking for someone to inject energy into a backup lineup or into a second unit, Jared Vanderbilt is one of those guys. He is a multi-position defender who works best if he's able to be a disruptor on the perimeter. He is I think, a very underrated passer, though he still has some IQ things and decision-making deficiencies to figure out when it comes to passing. There is a very, very good baseline for him because he is a willing passer, because his vision is actually pretty damn good. It's just the execution that has to be worked on next, and he will be a pretty vital piece to an offense, especially with the ball in his hands, believe it or not. Vando is one of those guys who can fill the dunker spot role, but because of the way he's able to put the ball on the floor sometimes, and because of the way he's able to make some passes, he's a lot better for an offense in that dunker spot role than what a traditional DS big would be. I think he is the ideal player to fill that one non-shooter spot on your roster and in your rotations. Even though he is shooting 39%, it is on 1 3-point attempt per game. So that is something to take into consideration. But he has had a game where he went 4 for 4 from the 3-point line. And I believe that was against the Blazers. And then there was a game where he went 2 for 2. So there's something brewing there. And I think he's like willing to take those shots now. And he's hitting a lot more of them because I think last year he shot like 20-something% from 3. I think that is something to keep in mind when it comes to the type of player he can become. We're seeing a foundation for 3-point shooting. We're seeing a foundation for spacing the floor when it comes to being a shooter, or when it comes to being someone with the ball in his hands. And I think this is kind of a great segue into the next section of this video, which is talking about why he works so well on the Jazz right now. The Utah Jazz have 1,000,001 shooters, point blank period. They chuck that ball up from 3 so often. He can fill, I believe, the 3 through 5 positions on a roster, and he can be that one guy that doesn't shoot the ball but is still very impactful on both ends. But why he works so well in the Jazz, because they have the 1,000,001 shooters. They have everyone on the fucking team can shoot the ball. 2, he can just play middle field defensively. I know they are not the strongest defensive team, and they haven't been all season long, but Jared Vanderbilt has been one of the brighter spots on defense because of, again, his high energy on the perimeter. He causes a lot of disruptions. He knows how to play the passing lanes. He knows how to get deflections. He knows how to play on ball too, and just be aggressive and in the face of a ball handler. When looking at the trade value of someone like Vanderbilt right now, you're using his time with the Jazz and you're using his time with the Timberwolves, obviously. I'm afraid of teams using him in the wrong role. he's not a rim protecting backup 5. He is a really good small ball 5, and he has a really good matchup against other small ball 5s because he has a decent height to him. He's 6'9". He's got some length to him. He's aggressive. He's got a lot of vertical. He's really athletic. He has a really good matchup against those other small ball 5 lineups. He gets abused sometimes and gets exposed when he doesn't have a true rim protector behind him. I think that's going to be like the determining factor in what team is able to best utilize him in their new roster. I also want to talk about another reason why he works so well on the Jazz this season. It's because they use him in a lot of actions. The problem with having non-shooters is that if you're going to plant them away from the ball during your offensive sets, their guy can kind of just help off of them, and now you're playing a little bit of a 4v5 offense. Very unfavorable. By bringing in that non-shooter, you are now forcing that guy to not be able to just sag off. Instead, you are now bringing them into the action and forcing them to actually play defense, which opens up the offense because now the guys, or the defenders rather, that are sitting on the perimeter can't really help as much, especially when you're talking about the Jazz. And this all comes back to Jared Vanderbilt being, I think, a really underrated passer because of the opportunities that he's now getting on the ball to make decisions. You can see him visibly getting better in those areas. So sometimes his passes are a little too hot. Sometimes they are a little bit off target. Sometimes they are 1 second off from hitting their mark. But the vision and I think the desire to be an on-ball threat without scoring is something that's going to lend itself really well to a lot of different contending teams. Which brings me into, I think, the last section of this video that I want to discuss, which is how he's going to fit on several teams around the league. Which teams I think make the most sense at this moment for a bevy of different reasons. One for contending and one for if you want to take your rebuild in a certain direction. The teams that make sense off the top of my head, it's not like this team needs much more help, but the Boston Celtics I think would be an amazing fit for Jared Vanderbilt because of the amount of shooters that they have on the team, because of just the openness of their offense. He wouldn't be as much of a liability. They could still play their very switch-heavy defense. If you have a situation on the perimeter where you have to worry about Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Robert Williams, or Jared Vanderbilt switching on you at all times, that is a terrifying image. And I'm upset that he would fit so well into that because he fills those gaps between the perimeter and the paint. He can play that middle field like I said he does with the Jazz. He would be taking Luke Cornett's minutes right now. And because Jason Tatum and Al Horford can both play the 4 already and both can shoot, Vando would take those backup 5 minutes and it wouldn't really hurt them. Because there's still a really good amount of size on this Celtics roster in both lineups, I feel. The second team I feel like would work really well with him is the Denver Nuggets, and this is like all of the homer taken out of it, all of the bias, all of the Nuggets like favoritism out of this statement. I think him slotting into like a backup 4 position, taking Jeff Green or DJ's minutes at times. I know we have a need for a true rim protecting big man. And I do not think that Jared Vanderbilt, if we were to make a trade for him, should come in and be the rim protecting 5 because that's not his strength at all. He could work well as a temporary small ball 5, like I said. And I think if we do make this trade for him, we would also still have to make another trade for a backup center, someone who can park themselves at the rim and contest a lot of shots. While Jared Vanderbilt causes a lot of havoc on the perimeter, it would be a good fit. He would be a great rebounder for our second unit. I think he would slot into some mixture of a starting 5 lineup every now and then. If AG wants to move down to the 3, I think that would be an interesting lineup to run. So like Jamal, KCP, AG, Vando, and Jokic. AG has been shooting so well from 3. That's another slot that is occupied by a shooter, which then gives Vando another spot to fill in a potential rotation. I like it. Do I think we're going to make that trade? No, but I like it. The Toronto Raptors, I think, would be a good spot for him if they want to focus on their retool or their rebuild, because let's face it, the Raptors with any trade are not going to become contenders. This is just not their year. I think they're losing 5 straight. OG's been out. The offenses look bad. It's a mess over there in Toronto right now. But if they wanted to get someone who is rangy, someone who is a 6'9" multi-position defender who plays really hard with a lot of passion, Vando might be someone that they look at as part of their retool. The Miami Heat are an interesting team because I don't think that one trade makes them contenders. They have been playing really well recently, and I will give them that. But a potential trade for Vando doesn't push them over the edge. It helps them a lot because putting another great defender next to Bam and having both of them play off of each other, I think is an image a lot of Heat fans and me specifically would love to see, because I think that would be a nightmare for teams to deal with. Having Bam or Vando switch off between being the paint presence and the perimeter presence, and if you're involving both of them in a pick and roll, yeah, good luck. Good luck. That is all I will say. Yeah, man, look. Vando is one of my favorite players in the league, point blank period. He is someone that I have enjoyed watching since last season. He is someone that I wish a lot of success on. He is someone that I'm glad is getting a 3-point shot because it means he's going to be in the league for a longer time. I'm excited to see where he goes. I'm excited to see which team makes that play for him and if they overpay, because I think there is a limit to how much you should be willing to give up for Jared Vanderbilt, especially if you're a contender. Danny Ainge might ask for 2 picks. 2 picks in a package of Vando and someone else. I don't know. It's a tricky situation because we are still in December. There's still some time till the deadline, and anything can happen in between then. So that being said, I think that's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. All the content grind is not stopping. We have another video scheduled for, I think, 4 days from now. I think originally it was scheduled for the 22nd, but I think we're going to move it back a couple days just to give myself some breathing room. But yeah, be ready for a video on December 23rd or 24th. And yeah, thank you very much. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.